In this video, we again build the class circle, but this time we use multiple files to define and implement the class. We have the class definition in one file and the class implementation in a separate file. The class definition will be in the header file. To create this header file, we can go to Header File folder, right-click on the mouse, select Add, New Item, click on New Item, and then make sure to select Header File, which has the extension .h, and then give it a name. In our case, we'll pick the name Circle, and then click on Add. Now we see that we have the circle.h file or header file under the Header Files folder, and here is the file. The first thing we want to do in this file is to place the inclusion guards. The inclusion guards are compiler directives that are placed in the definition file so as to ensure that the definition of the classes are not duplicated in the final source code. To place the inclusion guards in our file, we start by # if not define, and then the name of the file. The name of our file is circle.h. Conventionally, we'll use uppercase letter, underscore, and then followed by h. Line 2 will have # define circle_h, and then these two directives will have to end by &endif. And that's it. That's basically the inclusion guard that we have. Now we'll place our class definition between line 2 and line 6 here. And we already have the code for the circle. I've copied the code for the circle. The class definition for the circle is right here. We have basically a public data member and two constructors as well as one getArea function. And that's it. That's the definition file. Next, we need to create the implementation file. In order to do that, we'll have to go to the source files folder, right-click on the source files, select Add, New Item, and then this time we'll select C++ file, extension .cpp, and we'll give it the name Circle, the same name as our header file, circle.cpp. And in this file, we'll implement the functions in the class circle. We'll add this. Notice that the file circle.cpp is already created for us under source files. Now, the first thing we want to do is to include the header file circle.h. So # include, and inside double quotation, circle.h. So this implementation file knows about the definition file. Next, I'll include the IO stream. And it is now time to implement the functions in the definition file. Notice that I can easily go to the definition file circle.h, look at what I have in that file, and then switch back to the implementation file. So in the definition file, first we want to implement the default constructor. Control-C, I'll copy it and then move it to the implementation file and then paste it. Before the implementation, I have to also let the compiler know that this particular constructor belongs to the class circle. So I have what's called scope resolution. You have to start with the name of the class, : followed by the function inside the class. In this case, it is the default constructor circle. And then the code. The code is exactly the same as before. We want to basically assign 1 to radius, some default value. Radius is equal to 1. That's the implementation. Then we have the constructor with parameter. I'm just going to go to the definition file, Control C, back to the implementation, Control V it, start with the scope resolution, name of the class, followed by the name of the function, in this case the constructor. I have a parameter in there, and then the implementation, new radius, is assigned to radius. Radius is equal to, radius is equal to new radius, and with a semicolon at the end. And let's see, the last function we have here is get area. Copy and paste it in the implementation file. Now also we have to use a scope resolution for get area. Get area has the return type of double. So right after the return type, you're gonna write the name of the class, which is circle : followed by the name of the function, get area, and then return the formula for the area, 3.14 multiplied by the power radius times radius to the power of 2, semicolon. So everything is implemented here. We can check. There's the get area returning double. And the last thing we need to do to complete this project is to now define our main function. Now for that, we'll go to Source Files folder, right click, add new item, and then we'll create another C++ file. Let's call it, we can leave it as source. I'm going to call it source main. Add it. Source main.cpp file has been created. There it is. Now what we need to do is we need to include the header file. So # include within double quotation circle.h. I'm going to also include the IO stream. And then the same main function from our previous project. So I've copied it. I'm going to paste it right here. There it is. There's our main function. We create circle C1 using the default constructor, circle C2 using constructor with parameter, setting the radius to 5.5, and then output the values of the radius for each circle. Look at the area of circle C2, set the radius of circle C1, and then also look at the new value of the radius in C1. So we'll go to debug to run this code. We'll start. And the project comes out and runs it. So initially C1 was 1, the radius of C1 was 1, the radius of C2 was 5.5, the area of C2 was 94.985, the radius of C1 was reset to 100, and it is verified that the radius has been changed.